because Flame just wants to have fun. You know, it's that time again, man. It's time to have some fun. And Tier List Fridays is all about fun, first and foremost. Right, Flame?
Oh, of course, especially when it's melee time, and that's what we are going to be looking at today in the Dragonflight, ranking the melees based on how fun they are to play.
Subjective.
Not how much damage they do.
I mean, no damage, no utility, no talent builds, or that can tie into fun, but it's all very subjective. It's what we consider fun out of these melee specs. We play them all on the alpha and the beta. We have an idea on what we find fun for these specs and what we cannot find fun. And yeah, you can talk about, you know, doing lots of damage, being part of having fun.
Oh yeah, but dude, listen, because this is actually interesting. When I was not playing a melee, I was actually doing a Shadow Priest playthrough through one of the dungeons, and there was an arms man. There was an arms there, and he or she was not doing the right amount of damage, man. What? So I was like, why aren't you doing?
Just blast.
Dude, I just popped the Warcraft logs and looked at the overall dungeon log and check to see, dude, this guy is not pressing enough arms.
Bad, right?
Dude, not enough mortal strikes, and the average cast times for the average cast rate for his overpower was like way lower. It's like, okay, I understand. This guy needs an arms guide, and we don't have one for Dragonflight, so it is what it is.
You should have just whispered them and say, hey man, listen, look at these videos.
Yeah, youtube.com/MarcelianOnline. Learn to play arms.
I mean, this is one of the cool things you know, we do with Warcraft logs and in the beta. It's like, okay, we see some people that usually should perform really well, and
because we play perfectly all the time.
Yeah, you gotta understand. When we have it fun, we're playing perfectly. No, not to mention, but you know, it's also a case where like, okay, Flame wants to learn a new spec or something that has changed. I want to do it as well. The best way to do that for us, check out our logs or check other people's logs and see, hey, what the hell is up? And that being, you know, the main ingredient of all the things we kind of doing when we're researching and testing all the specs. Thank you, Warcraft Logs, for sponsoring this video.
Giving all the information.
And you can definitely check out the link in the description. Download the app for yourself. It works on the beta and it works on live as well. It will help us tremendously if you install it and start using it. Not to mention, you're going to get to understand a lot more on what you're doing. But you will improve a lot as well. So after the video, link is in the description. Download it from there. Thank you so much. Now it's Arms Warrior.
Never skip Arms Day.
I don't think there's gonna be any surprise here when we talk about the Warrior specs. We're gonna play some really hype. Not because we're biased on it, but they really did a good job, I think, with all the specs. We're gonna talk here about Arms and Fury, which Arms is first. And I gotta say, man, so many good talents, so many great builds. I mean, if you loved Arms before, you're gonna absolutely love it even more in Dragonflight. It's that good.
I feel like we talked about arms in the talent tier list as well, and nothing really changed because the numbers are always numbers, clearly, but it is fun to just enact all of the playstyles that you can get and put in, you know, that 20-second cooldown whirlwind that just slaps bigger than a blade storm, and it's really cool. I think what they did with arms made it have a lot of different playstyles, and this is what actually puts a spec in a high tier for me, when you can actually take what's fun from the spec and just use it in a playstyle. You can have like amazing blaze storms or amazing cleaves. I love cleave as an arms, and I can cleave as arms, which is really cool. They've made it even better than it is in Shadowlands, and I think overall the spec is one of the most fun melee that I have put my hands on in Dragonflight. For me, arms is S tier, baby.
S tier, let's go! We were starting it off strong, man. The first spec on the list is directly an S tier. Now, moving along to Assassination. Mon ami, I found Assassination always to be a little bit boring as opposed, and when compared to the other rogue specs. However, I don't feel it's the case anymore in Dragonflight. I mean, first of all, when I have this weird fetish with blindside, I don't know, there's something so rewarding and fun to just press free ambushes and stuff. It
sounds like fun.
It's really cool, but it's not only that. So one thing now is that obviously you have to still maintain your bleeds and whatnot, but dude, you have this single target like Giga Burst playstyle you can opt for, and I can tell you right now that it's super fun, and if it's gonna work out tuning wise, that's gonna be insane. But not only that, the other side of the spectrum of the talents also enable you a really decent AoE and cleave build, which is not bad to play. Assassination always felt a little bit less engaging, I would say, or fun in AoE just because of the high maintenance. Not anymore with Indiscriminate Carnage.
You had me at indiscriminate.
No, dude, come on, it's really good, and I love like when I tested out Deathmark, when it finally worked, is just another really rewarding button to press because you can finally see the feedback of it. Deathmark will just double all your bleeds and all of that stuff. So once you hit it, you see like double corrodes and double rupture and all of the poisons of the
all of them at the same time.
Yeah, it's really cool. And I would say like for me, I had more fun with it than the other. We'll get to the other specs, but it's a very strong A tier. Not just S tier yet. There's still a couple of issues, a couple of bugs over there, but yeah, fun-wise, definitely worth it. Next on the list, Enhancement Shaman.
Enhancement, boy, one of the best design melee specs in the game, and I think it has some of the coolest talents around.
But is it fun?
I have played. Oh, it's very fun. Well, I've played it when you slap those frost shocks in AoE.
Is that flash?
Dude, yeah, but do that like 5 more times because it's AoE, baby, in dungeons, and it melts stuff. And of course, you can be the alpha wolf and summon all the wolves and all the bites and all the stuff. I think Enhancement is getting pretty much. Whatever what made it really cool in Shadowlands is getting more of it, and it's just become really good. So as far as just playing with all the things that Enhancement has and all the cool playstyles, I would put it A tier for sure.
Okay, in front or after Assassination? If you want to keep it in front, I'm gonna let you do it.
The thing is, I also had a bunch of fun with Assassination. Let's put it a little bit behind, just a smidge.
Yeah, well, if I could just like this, you know.
Yeah, just make them hold hands.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. It's kind of on the same place. Really fun. Definitely would recommend if you're interested. But Feral Druid, and listen, Feral for me was always a fun spec. I mean, the first time I played it was in Shadowlands, believe it or not, and I still found it fun. I did, in time, identify many flaws with the spec moving forward, but luckily, as we go into Dragonflight, this spec has become even like what it was supposed to be all the time. It's if you want it, it can be that single target beast that you want it to be. If you want to do Mythic Plus, you can do that now and be very strong at it. And not to mention, all of this is being built around bleeds, man. It's not about all the time about that ferocious bite. Yeah,
with the rakes. I've been actually considering Feral to be one of the mains that I would go for in Dragonflight. So for me, it's very highly ranked. And yes, with all the places that you actually have about 4 builds right now that I was sucking to Guiltiest and seeing what you can try out. 2 from like single target, 2 for AoE. It's like really cool. And with all of the options that you have available, like all the cool stuff that Feral got, even with its problems in Shadowlands. You still had like a lot of cool stuff.
That's what I'm saying. But a lot of that was addressed. Yeah, stuff like tear open wounds, which is really cool. It's like when you like have 4 seconds of the rib consumed instantly for 60% of the damage dealt to everybody as well. What else was it? The talent where Rake would apply to a second target. So it's. I think like the only issue I have with it, I don't like a Death to Sword. Never liked it at all. It's still there. I don't know. And it's close to the capstones. But other than that, you know, Feral is like Gucci.
No, it's good. For me, I was actually considering this because I'm a big Arms fanboy, but I think Feral is a little bit ahead of Arms. Solid.
Oh my God, Feral taking the spot.
Number 1.
Come on, shoot this number 1 so far. We'll see how the list evolves. Because Frost DK is coming up, baby. And Frost Decay is also one of the specs that has received plenty of love from the devs.
100%.
And in terms of like fun, I don't think that much changed for Frost in terms of like its playstyle.
The cool thing about Frost is everything that you had fun with so far over the years, it's kind of upgraded. For instance, if you like the two-handed obliteration, which is something that I've kind of played 90% of the time throughout Shadowlands. Now you can do that with the Ice Cap talent and with proper Glacial Advance, with proper Avalanche that applies Razor Ice, so you don't have to worry about Razor Ice anymore. Not to mention you have big Cleave Obliterates, which is so satisfying to press. Or if you like the the dual wheel breath build, you can obviously still play that with ice cap, and you have, if you do play avalanche, there is a chance where you might not even take Razor Ice as a rune forge on a weapon, which is like what? And you can actually use the Unholy Crusader, Fallen Crusader, rune forge and Hysteria, which is something that they added new in Shadowlands, but we didn't really end up playing with it a lot.
It didn't work for a long time. You couldn't like really.
Basically, Frost is everything that you like about Frost upgraded. So this is something that is not a spec that received like the tables flipped and went 180 on its design, but it took everything that was cool and just made it cooler. I think it's a solid A tier for me. It's in front of Enhancement. I don't know about Assassination though.
we keep it. So you know what's cool about this so far? We have like the traditional bleed specs leading the charge right now. Right? We have Feral and Assassination. But
melee dots.
Okay, Fury Warrior up next, and I would say here that it's more or less the same story as Arms, maybe even better, because you still have like great talents. You still have like great builds. And it's basically a very much improved version of the Shadowlands Fury Warrior.
Similar to Frost DK, it seems to do everything that it did better. It's still kind of, for me, Fury would probably take or at least be equal to Arms if they could make the one-hander build viable, but that's really relying to tuning, so we don't know that yet until the expansion launches. So until then,
but is it fun?
As far as fun is concerned,
I mean, it's one of the most fun specs.
If you play sidearm with Annihilator, that's ridiculous, man. Like all the damage comes from melee attacks. Like we haven't had that since vanilla, where you just melee actually slaps, and hey, you can actually, which is something that I've always wanted to play, is Onslaught. You can actually play Onslaught, and Onslaught has a capstone, which is super cool. I feel like for me, Fury is top 8 tier for me. It's not quite where Arms is, because Arms felt that
it's taking the lead. It's taking the lead. I mean, it has to be. It would have been S tier material, but I do agree. Arms is a personal preference. I think for both of us, we very much prefer it, and we have more fun with Arms than with Fury. Not to say Fury is not fun; it's a blast. But I think it's very cool.
Like S and A tier are like main level
it's like
specs.
The bomb to play. All right, not the bomb, not the fell bombardment. Havoc Demon Hunter.
Havoc is not too bad actually.
I mean, it's not boring as in Shadowlands right now.
It's not Sinful Brand.
It's not Sinful Brand, so that's a huge win. I think like a lot of like Havoc mains will probably retain their main, because I don't think there's like too many issues with it. I just feel this doesn't have like that oomph factor, that that sparkle that would
that is true. I was trying to put my finger on it and I just couldn't get it, but you nailed it right. It doesn't have that oomph. It has a lot of cool stuff. You can actually play momentum with demonic, which is
I mean, a lot of us wanted that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Some people hate it, but we love it.
And with like Shattered Destiny, that's a new playstyle where you can extend demonic to like quite decent amount, so you can just be in demon a lot. So that's something that Havoc never really had, or Demon Hunter never really had, where you had like a cool cooldown that you can extend by just playing better.
Cooldown.
Yes, very good. So for that, Havoc still is a decent spec. It's A tier for me, maybe around Frost DK Enhancement-y. I think it does some stuff cool.
Like between them?
Yeah, let's put it in between. I think it deserves
better
a spot.
Than Enhancement in terms of fun?
Well, the thing is, Enhancement, however cool it is, Havoc just never had talents, never had this much death. So getting what it got in terms of playstyles and builds, I feel like it's a much bigger leap from where Enhancement was.
For sure. All right. Next on the list, Outlaw Rogue. Okay, so we both played Outlaw in Season 4. We rediscovered this spec, and it's a hell of a fun spec to play. Lots of EPM involved over there. I'm gonna say it still remains one of the most fun melee specs to play, even in Dragonflight. I mean, you can go for like the Giga single target ambush build. It's amazing. Or you can go like with the more cleave AoE stuff with the green screen wickers on the right side as well. It's like one thing I would have loved for them to actually introduce the blunderbuss thing into Dragonflight, but I think like the closest thing we got to that is Fan the Hammer, which is not the same, but it kind of works more mechanically a little bit the same. Apart from that, it's an amazing and fun spec to play. It's still the high octane, button pressing, cooldown reducing spec. and not, I mean, you cannot find really like a lot of negative stories. Sure, they removed Restless Crew out of there. We're kind of expecting that, obviously.
But that's like whatever.
I think a lot of folks would not find it fun because this is like the talks I had in I would say the last year about Outlaw. A lot of people don't find it fun because it's quote unquote giga RNG because of Roll the Bones. However, I wouldn't say that is the case. A little bit of RNG isn't bad. The thing is, whenever you do get like the proper buffs or the things that you want, there wasn't really like a great way to actually make more value out of those. But one of the capstones now, can't remember what's it called, but it's the last one on the middle, that actually enables you to extend the buffs that you have. So if you get like a great roll, not to mention, count the others, there's all the conduits that made it better, but now if you have like super nice buffs, you can extend them, which obviously translates into more control, and I love that. For me, Outlaw is an S tier. I would put it behind Feral and Arms. Do you agree, or do you want me to
Outlaw was, by design-wise, it was very close to me when it comes to Assassination, but I like what they did in terms of playstyle, and I'm a big fan of shooting your pistol a lot of times. And
you shoot it. But that's what I'm saying. So with the hammer, you have like you gotta go manually with it, right?
Yeah, you don't press one and you have like a gazillion shots, but you just press it a lot. And with Roll the Bones, like you said, I think it's one of the best examples of how to do RNG in a good way, because the opposite example would be what we had right now with Balanced Druids, where all the rotation was pretty much predetermined from the moment you started combat till the end, and that became boring. And when you don't have like a little bit of spice, a little bit of RNG, then it's good. It's good. S tier, I agree.
S tier deserved. Okay, everybody's favorite melee light wielding spec on the list. Stay here. Again, guys, this tier list is very subjective. It's what we find fun on this. Find fun. So, Ret Paladins.
Consecration.
I think I made my point in a lot of the tier lists before, and also on the dedicated Ret video. I do not find it fun anymore, especially not even now with the latest changes. It's even worse. It's very boring to play because you don't. So one of the things that made it fun on season 3 and 4 was the actual tier set and the proc party and all of that. It kind of like changed your dynamic in the rotation. You had to react to the procs, and it was fun. Now, with all of the nerfs to that, it's basically, okay, go ahead, build Holy Power, Divine Storm, build Holy Power, Divine Storm. Oh, you have Final Reckoning, put that down, Divine Storm. It's very, very boring.
And it kind of reminds me of Havoc in BFA, where you had Blade Dance, the best DPS for all situations.
Yeah, I'm not even going to go into that. For me, it's not fun. Ret Paladin used to be a very fun spec in I would say, all Shadowlands. I haven't found any issues with it. Right now, it's not retaining any of the things that made it fun in Shadowlands. It hasn't received anything like groundbreaking or just to make it new. So I understand some people find it fun, okay? Some people find the simplicity of it that is not right now fun, and even playing Consecration. So when I played it, I wouldn't say I was like totally depressed, but coming from a place where I knew how it was and how it is right now in Dragonflight Beta, it's not a D tier in terms of fun, but definitely a C tier. And I'm putting it in C tier because I know some people like this new, I don't know if they call it direction, they're going with it, whatever. I don't necessarily do it.
No, it's all about fun, and Red doesn't feel like it's the Red.
No, it's very bland right now. It's very, very bland, and it's sad. But yeah, moving on to Subtlety Rogue. And Subtlety Rogue, this is very interesting. I always had the most fun with Subtlety throughout World of Warcraft. Since, like, I always play the Paladin and the Rogue, since Burning Crusade, Lich King, or whatever, and I always had fun with Sub. Sub was my go-to spec all the time, Shadowlands included, up until Season 4. And this is the interesting fact, I tested Subtlety, especially in the Raid, paired up, I always change specs, Outlaw, Assassination, Subtlety. Not to say that I didn't have fun, but I was having a lot more fun with Assassination and Outlaw. Not to say Subtlety is weak or is something that cannot be played or you're not gonna have fun with it. It's definitely still a fun spec. It retains most of the fun aspects of it, like having access to like quick fast burst through Shadow Dance, having Dance Macabre over there, which really like separates the other specs having access to Shadow Dance. It's really, really good. It's just I don't feel like one thing that could have made it for me fun and put it directly to S tier if they would have brought back and make work Death from Above. That ability was so cool, and there was an opportunity to put it there. It wasn't. It's just more or less the same subtlety rogue. So for me, not boring, but I found a lot more fun in Assassination and Outlaw, and it's gonna be a B tier.
Yeah,
Did you play it by any chance?
I played it a little bit, and I found it a little bit weird in the way that it's designed because, okay, for me, sub has always been what? Big finishers. Big finishers do the big finishers, but when I saw my Gloomblade hitting almost as hard as an Eviscerate, I was like, all right,
well,
okay.
Big finishers, you should check some Envenom, baby, let me tell you.
Yeah, that's what I mean, right? I mean, the mastery for sub just increases the damage of your finishers, right? So that's kind of what I'm expecting going into the spec, and I'm not necessarily saying that it's a bad spec design. It's kind of fun to hit really hard backstabs, but I mean, if I hit Eviscerate, I want to feel like I'm hitting Eviscerate, man. And it's going into a direction that, let's say, I am not as big of a fan of as I would have been normally for sub.
Yeah, I think it's fair enough. Again, guys, this does not mean that it's boring or it's not fun. It's just more or less the same, and the other
Let's keep talking about sub and not go to the next spec, please.
We gotta go to Survival Hunters, boys and gals. It is time, because I know Flame mained it, and it was a very strong advocate for it, and I know he has some strong feelings.
What did they do to my boy?
They massacred my boy. Look how they massacred.
No, okay.
I'm sorry, man.
We did. I talked about survival also, similar to Marcelian on his Red. I talked about survival in the past tier lists and in the survival dedicated video. And since I think in the last tier list that we did with survival, I think I've placed it into B tier. But after playing it a little bit more, it's kind of downgraded again. And there are a lot of reasons why this is so. I'm not gonna go into all of them because we just released the survival video. I think 1 or 2 days, 3 days based on when you watch this video.
Yeah, it's fresh on the channel.
And so you can go check it out. But overall, survival feels like it's going into a directionless destination. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't feel like the devs that are designing survival know how to play survival, or if they are playing survival, they just want to do something really different for the spec. There's too many inconsistencies in its talents and in its build, which definitely showcases when you're trying to put it into practice and start hitting stuff. There are a couple of things that are really cool, like the spearhead mechanic I think is really cool, but it doesn't work properly with its resource generation and resource economy. Coordinate Assault has been changed to be like a pure AoE ability, which is something that very few specs have in their toolkit, and also make it seem like it's fun. Like, this is pure AoE, you don't want this in single target, and you just want to... There are no other specs that I've played so far that make it seem like, oh, I don't want to go in this part of the talent tree at all in single target.
Terrible.
That's and then vice versa in AoE.
But is it fun though?
Nah. I would put it behind Red. I was considering putting it into D tier, but I think there are 1 or 2 things that can make it really cool. If they can tune it properly and make a couple of tweaks, I think it could be one of the coolest DPS specs, but it's C tier, bottom C tier.
Okay, so we don't okay, no.
If I'd have to play one between the Red and Survival, I think I'd probably play Red and Survival.
Okay, fair enough, man, fair enough. But 2 more good news, I would say. Unholy Death Knight, this is a spec that is a very clear winner and a very clear, I would say, benefiteur of the Dragonflight talent system. I would just right off the back say the talents are amazing and enable super fun gameplay. So if you liked I'm playing Unholy DK in Shadowlands, but even more important, if you like playing Unholy DK in BFA, you're gonna get a very I wouldn't say identical, but it's very reminiscent of the BFA playstyle. There's tons of ways you can, like, first of all, Gargoyle is back. It's doing amazing single target. Unholy DK does a blast in single target, but there's this very cool talent they added called Vile Contagion, which we cannot praise enough. It's one of the coolest things ever. What that does is basically spread your existing wounds to 7 more targets around. And you know that cleave, baby, will just go insane. Cleave and AoE, obviously, because I don't know, it's great. There's very few things I could think of in terms of like Unholy DK's issues, in terms of like fun and gameplay. There's something for everybody. If you want to be a single target monster, you can go there, right? You have the whole right side of the tree with, you know, Gargoyle and all of that. And it works and it does a ton of damage. If you want to go the spectacle that was Unholy DK in the BFA, you have that too, like to some capacity. For me, Unholy DK is a clear S tier.
Oh, well, I think it has been S tier ever since its rework on its talents in all of our tier lists that ever contained any type of melee.
I put it in front of Arms.
I would put it. I would put it in front of Feral, actually.
No. See, this is very close. This is very close. I'm not gonna go there since I played Feral and I kind of liked it at the beginning, but I didn't get to play like the last iteration of it. And I saw you play it, and I was like, man, this looks really cool, and it actually works now. So I'm kind of impressed with Feral too. I would put him on the same pedestal.
That's fair. It's kind of hard because they definitely do different things, and Feral came a very long way. From where it was in Shadowlands and where it was in BFA, where in BFA had major issues in single target, and now it has major issues in AoE. But now in Dragonflight is looking and that's why we. Oh, we still have one spec. I was gonna say that's why we have the.
No. We still have.
Yes, here, but yeah, we can actually go into Windwalker. And I'm gonna say a couple of things first, and I'll let you go on.
Yep.
Since you have different opinions about Windwalker. Windwalker for me is a solid spec. It's a good spec DPS, but it never really caught my eye. It never really had that like moment when you pop your army with a DK, or shit moment when you just blast bleeds all around. It doesn't have those things.
It's a different flavor, man.
It's just no, but that's fine. That's fine. But as far as I'm concerned, it's solid. It's like I will never feel bad playing Windwalker, but also not really feel good. So I would probably put it in front of Subtlety, but that's about it.
Very close to it. Yeah. So here's the thing. Windwalkers, first of all, have received a lot of cool stuff back, and this is one of like the strongest points. Things like Glory of Dawn, for those double sun kicks, that's really awesome. Well, the strike of the Windlord, that was the artifact ability, that's also back. Plus, the coolest thing now is that a lot of the abilities weave off of each other way more fluidly. There's this thing where, okay, like playing Windwalker, one of the most, I would say, interesting things about it is like you always have to like hit with different abilities because you have the hit combo mastery thing going on, and it increases the damage. I always found that cool, not to spam one button rather than just make sure you weave in different abilities, and that's like really cool. But the most important thing that they did to Windwalker in Dragonflight is they actually address the single target issues, because now you can go for like the totally right side of the talent tree, and that is like super single target focus, and it actually works. This was a very big struggle for Windwalkers, not really having a clear identity for single target for most of the expansions. Obviously AoE was always there, and it was a blast for people who loved it or whatever, but there's also single target now, so all of these packed up make the spec a lot more complete. I would say it's the same mechanic of the spec, but it does way better in all departments. It doesn't have the wow factor like as you mentioned, things like when you say like for Feral or for Unholy or I don't know, for Outlaw, just having those all of that. It doesn't have that, but it's so much better now. I would put it into like A tier. I know B tier is a little bit too low for it because it's very strong. Fair enough. I would put it like at least here. Again, people who love playing Windwalker Monk are definitely gonna love this iteration of it. There's still a couple issues. It's better. It's everything that Windwalker does with its weaknesses covered, and I think that's really cool. Yeah. Plus, a lot of cool stuff is back, man. This is very neat to see. When I looked at that talent tree and all that, I was like, man, this is so nice because all the cool ass rights and the legendaries. Yeah, legendaries and all their abilities coming back and all that. It's just great. But in terms of fun, this is it. This is how we rank them. So I think we're gonna have to address this. A lot of folks are commenting that on our tier list that, hey, there's too many specs in S and A tier, man. How could this be a reality? Well, first of all, it's a very subjective. This is what we think, and we find it that it's a very positive thing to be addressed here. That the game enables so many specs and classes to be wouldn't you want to play a game where pretty much everything is fun to do and fun to play? Yeah. Not to mention, that's the ideal. Whether or not it's biased or not, the new playstyles that the new talents enable are just really cool and really different, because you get to do things that you weren't able to do before, have rotations that you didn't have before, tackle bosses and AoE packs in the way that you couldn't really do before, because with the old class design system, you were very restricted. You always had like to pick
one of the
one or
things that
two
you could do.
builds max, and it was like one talent here, one
And
there.
you would not play stuff for like years, like certain talents or
Yeah,
stuff.
but I think they did an amazing job, and this just goes to show, if you look at our previous tier list in the past, you're gonna see we're not like gentle with all of these specs, regardless of the way we're ranking them. Right now, it's pure subjective. It's just what we find fun. But in general, you know, when things are not looking right, we're filling that C and D tier, no problemo. But that being said, it's an amazing time to be playing World of Warcraft. I think in what is it?
We deserve this.
Yeah, definitely. It's very exciting to get into Dragonflight and actually get these, you know, seeing how they do and see if this holds ground in the future, right? But yep. Thank you for watching the video. Thank you, Warcraft Logs. Remember, guys, you can download the app for the beta or on retail
down in the
description over there. And of course, thank you, Patreons, for supporting the content. You guys been amazing. We're carrying on. It's a great time to be part of the Marcelian&Online family because there's lots of content, as you probably noticed.
It's coming. It's coming.
Thank you.
Thank you for watching the video.
Now you have a great weekend. Okay.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Peace.
I've been loving it then, I still love it now. Still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. Getting better every day, let me show you how. Cause still, I play WoW. Still, I play WoW. It's getting harder to stay, but at the end of the day, it's a guilty pleasure, so just log in and play. Whether it's classic or retail, I'ma do a /bow. Still, I play WoW.